all, I hate when they say that. Are you ready for a new relationship? I am getting ready. Not an IG DM, not even, oh no, I got a DM too. I realized when I found her on social media on IG that she had also DM'd me. Would you still be together if you didn't cheat? I don't even know how to, no, I actually wouldn't, because we're so incompatible. It wasn't just that, we were wildly incompatible. Different interests, he's not growth mindset, and that frustrated the shit out of me. He used to think I talked too much. He didn't want to talk to me. That man didn't like y'all. I'm pretty sure he didn't like me. He said, I love you, I like you so much. No, you don't, you lying. Stop lying to me. And it's not fun, a little bit too late. Was the cheating the deal breaker? Yeah, it was. I mean, I tried to work through it, but he just kept living in the gray. I hate the gray. She knew who he was before he slept with women. I actually didn't.
Listen, I hate to be here. You know what I mean? I hate to be here. I hate to be in this situation. You know, it's a shame that we're here, 2023. It's a shame that we're having to have this conversation. It's a shame that she's in this situation. It's a shame that, you know, we're at a point in time where she's having to admit to us that brother Jarrette cheated on her. But I want to be fair. First and foremost, let's put the accountability where it needs to lie. Okay. First and foremost, okay, the issue lies with oh, the music's on, sorry. The issue lies with our good brother. I couldn't hear the music for some reason. I apologize, guys. I couldn't tell the music. I apologize. For some reason it wasn't coming from my earphones. I apologize. But literally, the biggest issue we have with Jarrette and Iyanna, I want to put the accountability on Jarrette, right? First and foremost, I want to put it on Jarrette because Jarrette made a mistake, right? Jarrette, disrespectful, he cheated, it was cowardly, you know, it was covetous, you know, and you know, let's be real. He chose her second, but he didn't have to go through with the marriage, right? So his selfishness took him through to this marriage, right? So, you know, you've chosen to do this thing. You've chosen to be married. You've chosen to be with Iyanna when you downright know you weren't invested in this woman the way you need to be. Your need to be loved and your need to be cared for was the biggest reason why you're behind in this situation, right? The reason why we're in this situation is because Jarrette, first and foremost, didn't have the balls nor the courage to say no. Okay? All right? You should have said no. You should have never, ever married this woman. So we have to put the accountability on him because you are the leader. And so since you chose that woman, you have accountability on your ass that needs to be done, right? I don't care about the partying and the drinking that you were doing. The reality was when you first started, you knew this was not the woman for you, right? I can make all the jokes about him crying in towels and everything like that, right? But the reality is, sir, you should have never been with her. Now, we thought it was all to do with the fact that, you know, oh, her insecurities and everything, which, well, look, that's also a part of it in terms of relationship. Hopefully she's been working on that, cool. But the reality is, that's not why you went out and did what you did. Yeah, you went out, you cheated, you did what you did because in reality, it served you to do so, right? It served you to want to, you know, to cheat on her. It served you to marry her. It served you to have this public, you know, relationship. It served you to be on the show, and you downright know that this is not the girl you wanted. Right? You know, you knew this already. So why go ahead and do this? And you know what? She's ended up covering you up until now, and now it's been exposed as further along that you know what, that you know we found out that you've been. Sorry, let me just first. That you now we found out obviously that you know you've been cheating, as well as it being a bad relationship. Now, again, let me just say this as well. Look, you gonna have the accountability for your poor behavior. And what I would love to see is Jarrette to come out, right, and got ahead of this situation. Did that you didn't want this woman and you cheated because you didn't want her. What you should have done instead of everything else, right? Told the true story. Because now, if you come out with some bullcrap story talking about, you know, things were tough for me, that. If you come out with that bullcrap story, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy. I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy because you've had a whole year to get ahead of the situation and come out and be like, guys, let me be very honest with you. I cheated. I messed up. I made a mistake. This is why we're also not together as well, right? You could have got ahead of the story and ahead of this narrative, right? You could have got ahead of it before it's time, but you wanted to play this ball game, which you know, listen, for me, it's gonna come out eventually, right? It's gonna come out eventually. You know, it's it was always gonna come out eventually. So for me personally, it's like you know, this information gonna stay. It's not gonna stay secret. Someone's gonna ask what you did in that relationship, and she gonna talk. So if you were cheating, you should come out ahead of time. My internet, well, they listen, Jarrette's on my neck, bro. I don't know what it is. They don't want my internet to prosper. My internet don't want me to prosper, B. They don't want me to prosper. Anyway, okay. So hopefully the internet's gonna replenish itself because otherwise it's killing me right now. You know what I mean? But you know, I honestly, in all fairness, you know, I really do feel like Jarrette should have got ahead of the story. We shouldn't be here at this point in time. We shouldn't be having to you know, oh, he did say that in 24 hours time. Yeah, but what truth can come out? Do you know what I mean? Like, what truth come out? And this is my issue with him. What truth can come out? What you gonna say? What can you say? Because there is no like Jarrette's giving me F-boy vibes, right? Like beforehand, it was like, I'm sorry, mistake. You know, I was silly, I was dumb. I chose this woman, and I know I shouldn't have. She was my second choice. I should have left it. But now it's just looking like dumb because it's the same thing with when Iyanna first started talking about the situation. Then suddenly he came on a podcast and said, "I'm going to tell my truth." Now we've been told that you're cheating. Now you're coming out and telling us, "Oh, you know, you're going to tell your truth." What's the truth? What is your truth? Because if you cheated, there is no other. Look, unless you're going to tell me you didn't cheat, there is no other side because there's nothing else to it. There's no, oh, you know, I was going for a tough time. I was drinking. The show was hard. Mental illness. I don't give a hoots what it is. Okay. All right. I don't care who's what it is. If you're out here cheating, sir, there is no other side to the story. Unless you're going to tell me there's something that happened and both of you were cheating or something like that. I don't know. Okay. So there's something deeper and darker about Jarrette that he needs to sort out. Okay. Now I can understand why this darker side is because his dad's a minister and probably I don't know how long dad's been a minister for, but children who grew up in those kind of households, no offense, anybody who grew up in a PK environment, but you learn how to camouflage. You learn how to present an upstanding image when your efferes is behind the scenes. You learn how to lie, manipulate. You learn how to deflect. You learn how to deceive because oftentimes in this environment, if you don't, you know, it's a survival tactic. You know, every single time everyone's going to comment upon your moves, comment upon what you do. They're going to talk about, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. I saw you doing this, I saw you doing that. So the best way to do that is to camouflage yourselves. Right? So clearly it's getting to the point where, you know, we're going to have to be really real about your situation now, Jarrette. Yeah? That's the thing. Now, someone said an interesting thing about all the Love Is Blind cast are telling it. Did all the NDAs expire? I think what's really happening, if I'm honest with you, I think the reality is that over time NDAs don't hold. Right? After a while, NDAs don't hold. After a while, people are going to get tired of not being able to tell their truth, and when things are burning, they're going to just break it. You know, they're just going to break it. It gets tiring. You know, especially when there's deeper, darker truths and you've had to hold it for a very long time. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying to you? And I think I just saw something like he put up a post about he's going to take the, he said he's going to been taking the high road for quite some time, story time soon. Nigga, what? High road? What high road are you talking about, bro? Now, unless he's going to come out and say that she definitely knew what she was getting into, unless he's going to say that she already knew about the cheating, unless he's going to say that, you know, he told her that he cheated and everything like that, and she still wants to continue the marriage, I don't want to hear anything else. Everything else going to be cap. Okay? Everything else will be cap. That's what I've got to say. Okay? Everything else will be cap. Right? So if he doesn't come out and say something completely like, yo, you know what? You know, she was out here in the streets too. She had some, you know, some issues too in terms of being in the streets, and you know, I was doing my thing too. So she knows, unless that's the kind of truth you're about to reveal, sir, it don't matter what you say. It don't matter. You know what I mean? Taking the high road, yada yada, ain't gonna matter, bro. So for me personally, I wanna make sure that, you know, if we're gonna be talking about this situation, Jarrette, you know, it's not just gonna be out, you know, some stuff out your ass just to kind of protect yourself and make yourself look better. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, you knew you knew you messed up. You knew, you knew, you knew, you know. And so yeah, for me personally, he gonna have to come up with some big boy stuff, you know, to make this even feasible. You know what I mean? To make this even feasible. So yeah, we're gonna wait and see. I don't know what he's gonna come up with, but we have to wait and see. Did Iyanna know she was second choice? Absolutely, absolutely. Just like Bliss knew. Absolutely, she knew. Yeah, she knew. She knew. Okay, she knew. So she definitely knew that she was second choice. She definitely knew he chose Mallory first. That was very well known. You know, in the conversation. So because she knew that they had a connection and everything as well. Look, these situations out here, look, if you know you got someone else you're feeling, please don't choose me. Like, you know what I mean? Don't do it, bro. Like, don't do it. You understand? Just saying, you know, people be knowing, you know, people be knowing. Look, the other day I was just talking to someone. Listen, I was talking to someone else. It's like, look, you're not gonna fool me with this thing, fam. Yeah, man knows when you're on the thing and when you're not. I look, women be thinking they're slick and they're smart, but you do the same thing that men do. When you're not interested, you have your ways of showing us you're not interested. Let's be honest. If I'm your first choice, the way that you respond is different. Let's just be real. Some of you are fooling yourselves, you're lying to yourselves, and you're pretending it's like when someone's your first choice, the way they behave with you is different. Okay, it's different. All right. So look, and that's the reality too, Kim. No amount of marriage can save anybody. No amount of marriage can save anybody. You know, no amount of marriage can save anybody. You know, you get into a marriage, it won't change your player ways. It won't change your cheating ways. It won't change your lustful ways. It won't change your abusive ways. It won't change your over emotional ways. It won't change your security. It won't change how you feel about yourself. It won't change anything. If anything, if it does change anything, it makes it worse. Okay, right? Because marriage is about to exasperate that because there's no outs, there's no exit doors, and it's only going to intensify whatever was previously there. It's going to put a magnifying glass on it. right? Marriage ain't changing you, and it ain't changing them necessarily thinking for the way that you want it to be, right? So when Jarrette went into that marriage, and whatever he hoped might happen by him marrying Iyanna, whether it was TV, whether it was he genuinely liked her but wasn't, like, whatever it was, and I said this at the time as well. I said a lot of the stuff that they were bonding over was his trauma. A lot of the stuff they were bonding over was a trauma. Now, she might not have been very much, and look, and I'm gonna give grace, she may not have been fully aware that most of their bond was trauma. And you know how I know that? Because when she speaks after about their situation, she talks about their compatibility issues, right? She speaks about the compatibility issues. So if they got compatibility issues, okay, if they got compatibility issues, then the biggest thing was that they were bonding over something else, right? They were bonding over something else. So they were bonding over trauma. And that's why they missed the compatibility. That's why she missed the compatibility. That's why he lied to himself about the compatibility, because they bonded over trauma. He was telling her how he got shot. He told her how he got almost got killed. He was telling her all these deep things, which we never really saw with Mallory. And the reason being is because of the way he saw her as somebody who could take his pain, but not someone who could actually be the best him. Right? And that's what I said about all of us need to be very conscious and very aware that we don't allow our trauma to inform us of what kind of person we want to be with. Look, just because we can talk about my trauma don't mean that you're great for me. And look, I'm being real with you. I've really started noticing it in the last few years or so that, great, I get on with a lot of people and a lot of women I can talk to about a lot of things. There's a lot of women I talk to about their own trauma and my own. That doesn't mean we've got a connection. That doesn't mean we've got a connection. Us talking about the fact that we both got attachment issues, that ain't a connection. That just means that we both got trauma issues, you know. So in that realness, in that real spit there, so the compatibility issue that she spoke about, real and truly, that is the biggest issue. Yeah, I mean, exactly, Maggie. What he was talking about again was about how resilient and strong. Look, can I be honest with you? I don't get attracted by necessarily the strength and resiliency of a woman. Can't lie to you. So sorry. Okay. Right. Just coming to a more educated place. I'm not saying I don't want you to be somebody who knows how to get through the tough times. I'm saying to you, it doesn't attract me because you're resilient and strong. You've been through so much and now I'm attracted to you. No. It doesn't. Because it puts you back into that place where we're again dealing with the trauma aspect rather than who I'm trying to become and who you're trying to become. So like we don't want to focus too much on having the resilience. Again, resiliency is actually kind of calm, but you're just when you hear something, you're just so strong, and that's why I'm attracted to you. I'm not personally. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not. I'm really not attracted to you because you're so strong. Like that is not something. No. I don't need to be. If anyone starts saying that to you, just count it as a flag. Okay, if a man tells you I'm attracted to you because you're so strong, right? You heard it. Do you know who else you heard that from? Andre said the exact same thing about Cynthia. She's so strong. When you start hearing that, niggas don't want your ass. Okay, all right. Excuse my French. Niggas don't want your ass. Okay, when mandem start telling you how strong you are, just know if they're saying to you, I'm attracted to you because you're so strong. Yeah, they're gonna use your ass like a mule in a relationship, and they're gonna ride you like a donkey. Okay, my pony is goose. Like that. Do you know what I mean? You feel what I'm saying to you? Yeah. So I'm just saying they're gonna use you because what they're saying is, I saw my mom be so strong in very difficult times, and more than likely, it is when they say their mom being strong, what they mean is the mom was doing 3 or 4 jobs, not just jobs in terms of finances, but in terms of the household. There was a lack of pull from the male side, right? So that's why, like, you don't hear when you see there's an imbalance in people's perspective when it comes to a partner is often because they saw that in their imbalance in their parents, right? So like, I'm not saying that you don't want a woman to be able to handle her own and do whatever she needs to do, but what I'm saying is I don't want to be using strong as a reason why I'm attracted to you. Why would I want you to be strong? The whole point is I want you to be weak, right? Not saying that the person should say you're weak either. That's not what we're asking for. But we're saying, like, I'm not attracted to you because you're strong. You see what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm not attracted to you because you can pull your strength the same way I can do it or do crazy things, right? We shouldn't be in that space anymore. We're no longer surviving, we're thriving. And that survival mindset, you know? So, you know, I'm saying in the sense of, you don't want to, I don't want to say that I want you to be weak. I'm not saying that I'm attracted to your weakness, and I don't want to say I'm attracted to your strength. What I'm attracted to is the qualities you bring to the table, right? You're resourceful. You're somebody who always is smiling. You're someone who brings joy to my life. You're someone who, you know, is smart, is intelligent. You know, you have good conversations, right? Yeah. You're compassionate. You're kind. You're loving. You're endearing, right? You speak highly, respectfully, right? These are the things we need to be looking for. We need to be looking for qualities. And I was thinking about it the other day, talking about, you know, myself and even other YouTubers. What I want to start doing is talking more about what we should be looking for, not just what we're not looking for, right? Because that's really important, right? So I'm going to be mentioning that more often now in a lot more of my videos. What should we be looking for? Because it's easy to say what we shouldn't be looking for, but if you're always focused on what you're not looking for, how do you know to what's focused on what you should be looking for? Right. So we need to encourage people to also have knowledge in that area. We need to be looking for people, both men and women are looking for most of the same things, right? Someone who's kind, someone who's loving, someone who's compassionate, someone that is respectful. Okay. All right. Someone who's disciplined, right? Someone said Iyanna's in the chat low. I don't think that's Iyanna. Don't worry. You know what I mean? Someone who also is, you know, if for the men, you're looking for somebody who wants to provide, somebody who wants to protect, somebody who wants to speak, somebody who wants to speak life into you, right? And has words that are going to uplift you and encourage you, right? We want those things. Someone says Iyanna is me. I do not believe that's the Iyanna. I couldn't believe that is her. But if it is you, Iyanna, shout me. Listen, we would love to have you on the platform if it is you. But a lot of people like to imitate people, so I don't know. But no, in reality, you know, I think we will need to be looking for what thing they need to be looking for. You know, need to be looking. We need to be looking for the correct characteristics. So, for instance, you know, and I've noticed this as well myself, even when I'm looking at men and women. Let me just send this to. Let me just send this to. If it is Iyanna, I'll send you a link, Iyanna. You can come up and give us a little conversation. If it's you, if it's not, we'll know. Do you know what I mean? Once your camera comes on from behind the scenes, we'll know it's not you. You understand? So yeah, I'll put a link in the chat, Iyanna. If by all means click on it if it's you. We'd love to have a conversation with you impromptu. But the reality of the situation is like we need to look at quality. So for instance, myself, I said it's like if I'm looking for a partner, okay, I'm looking for someone who is if I'm looking for a partner, I'm looking for somebody first and foremost, for instance, who has a relationship with Jesus, right? That's a basis, that's a standard, right? And then let's say actual qualities, right? The person I'm looking for somebody first and foremost, are they kind? I'm looking for something like that. Number two, I'm looking for somebody who has a heart of servitude, right? Now I'm looking for somebody who's also compassionate, you know. I'm looking for somebody who is, you know, who cares about people, is respectful to other people, right? these are like pillars we're looking for in the opposite person, right? You know, we're looking for people that are, let's say, family, or for you, if it's important for you, family orientated. You know, how are they with their family? That's something that you're looking for as a quality or as a characteristic. You know, maybe you're looking for somebody who's dedicated to their work. Doesn't have to earn necessarily 6 figures, but is dedicated to their work. They're dedicated to, you know, they're dedicated to kind of what you call it, like hitting their goals, right? Or attaining their objectives. And so, you know, these are things that we should be looking for in other people, you know, and knowing what you need as well is important, right? So if you need somebody that's an encourager, like for me, I need somebody who's an encourager. You know, I need someone. Oh, it really is her. Oh, wow. wait. I can't hear you until I bring you up. Wait, hold on, Iyanna. I can't hear you until wait. Hold on. Hey, sis.
You thought I was joking?
Wait, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Oh.
And you look fine, babe.
No, I don't.
You look fine.
No, I don't.
They know I like a natural face, so don't worry about that, baby. You good.
I look crazy. How do you work this?
We still can't hear you. It might be your mic setting on your on the StreamYard set.
Should I be on my computer?
Because it might be attached to your headphone. Hold on. Oh, they said they can hear you. Oh, no, they can hear you. It's me who can't hear. Do you know what it is? It's me. It's me. Hold on. Stay on. I'm going to do something because my thing is... Let's see if I can hear, because I think my system, I've been trying to hear, but I can't be hearing nothing. So let's see. I might have to do this through my phone because I can't hear a thing, guys. But how you doing, Iyanna? You okay?
Kind of. I don't know why I do this to myself. Jesus, I try to be vulnerable and open for my audience, and I'm getting fucked, but it's okay. I deserve it.
Listen, I'm hearing you. I'm even gonna try along my phone because I think I can't hear on thingy. There we go. So I'm gonna because
oh, there they go.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear on my laptop. My laptop's, oh no, it's been crazy. But how are you doing again? I apologize, because I can actually hear the first time. So
no, you're okay. I'm good. I expected this to an extent, but it's like I almost forget what it's like to feel this raw all the time, and I'm like, oh fuck, why did I do this? But it's okay. It's okay.
I hear you. I was literally just saying, I don't know what part you got in, and I was saying that, and I ain't gonna lie to me, I was harsh on you. I can't lie to you. You know, I said, because no, I'll be real, because I'm all about behavior here. So whenever I talk about situations, I talk about behavior. But this time around, I did say on this occasion, I wanted to hold Jarrette accountable, because
as you should. Yeah.
If you're cheating, unless you're gonna come out and tell me there was unless you were cheating too, and that's why he cheated or something like that, I can't see what excuses he can come out with again after this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've been wrecking my brain trying to figure out what he could possibly come up with, and the top things I can think about is maybe one scenario when we first got married, and then maybe me not being supportive enough, or I don't know, or me not being patient enough. He loves to say that. But I mean, again, there are some flaws I had in that marriage, and I'll be the first to say that. The issue is that none of my behaviors were so detrimental that led to like the dissolution of our marriage, and that's just the truth of it. Like, yes, there were things that I needed to work on, because there are things that I need to. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nor do I ever admit that. I'm a hot mess. However, like I would have been a great partner to someone who is a good partner to me, and that's just the truth of it.
I hear that. I'm intrigued because I'm intrigued, and I'll say why I'm intrigued, because obviously now this information has come out. Now I haven't watched the actual interview. We only saw the clips. So I saw the clips this morning. People have been messaging me saying I should review it, and I just saw the clips. So just a quick, maybe for anyone who hasn't seen the clips as well. it's been almost like a year now. So you've kind of was it a year? Like a year?
It's
Longer?
been 5 months since our divorce. Not
Okay,
even
so 5
6
months since
yet.
divorce. Okay.
Yes.
So 5 months since the divorce. What made you now come out with the information at this point? Is it because you found out just now, or is it something that just
No.
okay?
I knew. I found out 3 days before after the altar started filming, and I immediately wanted a divorce, but my mom made me pause and like, Iyanna, you're making a rash decision. I'm not saying don't leave him or leave him. What I am saying is make sure you have a clear head when you do it. And so I know some people get over cheating, and I was like, okay, well maybe I can be one of those people, knowing damn well I already said that it was a deal breaker for me, but it was a marriage, so I wanted to try to push through and try to work it out, but he continued to show me that he likes to live in the gray, and that's just not okay for me. I want to be able to trust my husband. So after my year mark, and I gave myself a deadline, I was like, I just want to give him a year, and I want to see what happens. And then I was like, bro, I can't do this. I can't do it. And so I asked for a divorce. But then once the divorce happened, I immediately went into protection mode, and it took me a while to detach as his wife. I felt like I still owed him something to a degree, because that level of commitment is like insane. And so I protected him for a while, but it started to eat at me that I had this podcast and I had this audience where I talk about healing and trauma and relationships, and I couldn't be honest about that. And I was going through it behind the scenes, and so I felt like at some point, like, bro, I can't protect you anymore. And the crazy part is we had this conversation. I told him that eventually I felt like I was going to get to this point. He said, no, it's okay. Like, you talk about it. You don't have to protect me. And now I realized after the fact that was also manipulation. But it is what it is, man. But and in some ways I'm happy it's out there. At the same time, I don't want him to get flack for this because it makes it harder for someone to grow. But it is what it is, man. He shouldn't have did it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, he shouldn't have, and that's why I said there's a generally no excuse. So I think I didn't get to show the audience, but I was looking at, I think, whatever his Instagram thing was, whatever. And I said to the audience, I said, this is kind of interesting because I think the last time I saw that was when I think you had come up and you were started doing your first interviews the first time round, and then he was like, I'm going to tell my truth. And so I said to the audience, it's kind of interesting that we're back here again. Now we're going to tell us about the cheating thing that's happened. Now he's going to tell us his truth. And I'm like, as a man to man, I'm like, why are you waiting till this is being said? You should have just got ahead of it. You could have saved yourself the trouble. You could have,
oh my God.
You know what I mean?
You don't even understand how frustrating that, because when I saw he had this podcast and I would listen to his podcast in the beginning, and I realized it was way too re-triggering for me because I would hear him say things like she wasn't patient enough and she didn't give me enough time. And I'm like, why can't you just be honest? And I'm trying to give you the time and the grace to just be honest eventually. But he just kept feeding into the lie that I told to protect him, and at my expense. And I was getting flack for why our marriage ended, and I was being hypercritical, and and granted, I was very critical of him, but it's because I was just like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that was my first mistake. I should have trusted my gut, and I should have said no. But nonetheless, I was already married at that point by the time I saw my mistake, and I just had to try to work it out. But I told him, I'm like, man, I gave you the grace. You could have been honest about this. You could have like come out and talked about, if you wanted true vulnerability with your audience, like you could have talked about this. But now, like, he's upset that I'm not protecting him anymore, and I get why. I've done it this whole entire marriage, so I get why he's upset. He's throwing a tantrum. But I really just hope he grows from this, man. I hope he but it's not my responsibility. It's just not my responsibility anymore.
Hold on, I'm gonna change my thing now. I think it's working now, so I'm gonna remove.
Okay.
I know what happened. Okay, I think I should be able to hear you now. So I think I can hear you now. That was me. All right. Oh, sorry about that. Yes. So okay. So obviously now, so it's out there in the open. You've told us that you covered him and he was cheating. I'm intrigued now. From a psychological perspective, I'm intrigued. I know you were married, but what was going through your mind as to why you were covering him for so long? Because me, I'm also a coverer too, but I'm I also like to cover people, but I want to know why for you were intent on covering him.
For me, I mean, even seeing how people are reacting now, I don't think anyone deserves to be bashed like that. The Shushes or the Jays of the world, like, no one deserves to be bashed like that. People make mistake. Oh shit, I won't even say that's a mistake. But even still, like, I don't want to say that. I think it's a character flaw. But even still, like, no one deserves to be bashed like that. And that's what I wanted to protect him from, because no one knows what it's like to be, unless you're in it, to be in this position, to be this raw, and for people, especially people who don't know you, to be coming at you like this. And granted, we signed up for this. Granted, we continue to sign up for this. But it's just a very human experience being lived very abnormally, and in front of thousands to watch. So I wanted to protect him from that, and I thought it was my duty to some extent to do that, because he is dealing with a lot, and he doesn't have a lot of good support. I mean, he has support, but he doesn't have very healthy support around him, and I knew that I was one of the only people to provide that, and I felt a sense of responsibility even after the fact, knowing damn well it wasn't my responsibility. Not anymore. Yeah.
And that's fair. I mean, that is fair. I mean, like I said, I was surprised that it came out now. I've been telling the audience, you know, this situation
I've been
a little bit.
processing, man. I've been processing. Look, at some point I realized it was eating at me, and I was like, this is at my detriment, and you're feeding off of this lie. And I was like, I can't do it anymore, man. I really can't do it anymore. I was like, I just got to release it. And it's crazy because as soon as I did, I felt so free.
Yep.
I felt so free, man. I was like, wow, like, this is what it feels. And then it's like something happened in my brain where I detached. Because I will say, again, it was hard for me to detach as like the role of his wife, because I had to train myself to love him, even though I didn't like his character and I didn't like his behavior. And that was a lot for me. But I saw being a wife as a role. It was my duty to be good for him, or try my best to be good for him. And as best as I could be, but learned lessons, man. I'm also like, I have to remember I'm in my 20s. Like, I'm trying to figure it out, y'all.
Still young.
I'm still young, you know.
So I guess for you then, okay, so I have a question. So, I mean, of course, that's why I have a question. But I mean, so for you then, what, if you kind of like, because you said on the video, the clip, you said compatibility issue, even aside of cheating, the compatibility issue happened. So I want to know, what happened that you missed that aspect? Because I was saying just before you came on that, you know what?
Oh my God, you guys saw it. You guys all saw it, and we definitely trauma bonded in the pods. The crazy part is like, the pods gives you an opportunity to just be so open and raw. And I didn't take into account that it was the experiment. It just gave you an opportunity. And my assumption in my very young mind. Sir. Wait.
That's all right. You probably got a call. It usually happens.
Screw it up. No.
It's okay. It's
oh, okay.
It comes. It happens. Go for it.
My food order's here. Yeah. So
go and grab your food order. You can come back. This is an impromptu. Go and grab your food order.
I just had to ring them in. It's okay. They're
okay.
gonna bring it to my door. Thank God.
No worries.
But I assumed that he was someone who was so open and so vulnerable, because I am, but I didn't realize it was the experiment until we got into real life. But even still, when we were in the experiment and living it through, I didn't see the conversations that he was having with his friends like you guys saw. I didn't see how his friends were talking about him. I didn't see how his sister was talking about him. And there was so much behind the scenes, and we were so much gung-ho about it's us versus production. It's us versus production, because we saw how other people were being manipulated. And I was like, I don't want that for us. And so it wasn't until the cameras left did we look at each other and go, whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck? And things started to play out. And I kid you not, it took 2 to 3 months for me to realize I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I realize that now, and there was nothing I could do about it. I mean, there was, but like, we were already married, and I was like, I made a choice, and I feel like I have to stick it through and at least see it through, which I did, and I did my best. He did his best here, you know, with what he had, but
when you say us against the world, when you say us against the world, because that's a major, you know, that really does bond people together, us against the world. So just kind of make us understand what that is from your perspective, because When I hear us against the world, I know what I think. But what does that mean for you when you say us against the world?
Just like going into reality TV, you're aware of the manipulation that can happen and the poking and the prodding. And so we were very protective of our relationship. But what I realized is that it caused us to kind of ignore some real issues, especially me to ignore some real issues. And on top of the fact that I believe I didn't have enough time, so I had no choice but to kind of trust his words, although his actions were showing. But if I'm honest, I was going to say no on the marriage day, and I told him I was going to say no, and he came to my apartment at like 5 a.m. in the morning. I mean, I'm at a hotel, convincing me like, no, this isn't me. I promise this isn't me. It's just a situation. It's the scenario. Like, it's not going to be like this after. And even though my gut was telling me, Iyanna, what are you doing? No, say no. I convinced myself that I was so traumatized that I couldn't trust my intuition at the time. And so I went forward and I said yes. Honestly. If I'm honest, yeah.
Did your parents? It looked like your parents? They didn't like they were together. They looked like they really went for it. I'm gonna be honest with you. They looked like they were like, I support you, but we don't get this down.
They weren't for it. Not in the beginning. My parents saw it, but the thing is my parents learned to just like let me, because I'm a hard-headed learner. I have to learn through experience. I'm so bad. And so they were just like, Iyanna, okay, we support you regardless. And then after the marriage, they were all for it, because at that point we're already married, and they're like, this man is a part of our family. Let's accept him in. Let's try to be a support for him. Even after the cheating stuff, they were like, my dad was like, I want to be able to support you. Like, please reach out to me. But Jarette didn't want that. And I get why, because like my parents would have held him accountable. But yeah, my parents weren't really for it in the beginning. You see why. I know it's already here. Okay, sorry, I have to go get my order.
Baby, you can go and grab your food and come back. Baby, listen, I eat on my live all the time, so don't worry about it. I got me some plantain chips ready for you.
I think it's at not plantain chips. I love plantain chips.
We all love a good plantain chip, baby. It's just about as healthy as you
I bet you were so shocked. You did not expect this.
I ain't gonna lie to you. When I see the name there, I was like, someone's pulling my leg. People like to play leg on internet. So I was like, you know what? Just send her a link. If she really is true, we'll know when the camera comes up. I didn't think it was gonna be you, honestly.
The crazy part is like I just happened to stumble on YouTube, and
great.
I've seen your videos before.
Oh, we're humbled.
I've seen your videos before. Well, because of course, I mean, when people are talking about me, I want to see what they have to say. And for the most part, I'm like, oh, this guy has some sense. I see what he means. I mean, it hurts when you hear somebody telling the truth about you.
Yeah.
But you go a little bit deep. But I was like, you know what? I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So I can't be mad at that. Yeah. So I think as soon as I got on YouTube, like you popped right back up, and I was like, oh. Okay.
You know what? That's the good Lord, that I serve, because you know what happened today in the shower, I was praying. I said to God, listen, we need, Lord, for you to open up some more doors. I don't know how you're going to do it. I'm not asking how, but you're going to do it. And for this to happen, I'm just saying it's a good Lord that I serve. Jesus Christ.
It's like, surprise.
Yeah, surprise. We here. Girl, what you order? Is that Wayne's?
For the day. No,
listen,
I
what
got
you order?
Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
I have a really bad Chick-fil-A breakfast obsession. It's like, it's not even healthy.
It depends on what you ordered, though. Well, what did you order from Chick-fil-A? We gonna
the chicken minis. The chicken minis. They're so good. They're so good. And I have an obsession with sweet tea. It's so bad.
I'm gonna allow you. You get a little pass.
A little pass.
I'm gonna be mad at you. You're gonna get a little pass.
Little pass.
You're gonna get a little pass on my ass, just a little chicken and egg. Okay, no worries at all. We're down with that. We're down with that. But no, I really do. It was interesting because I've been strong, and I think I've been strong because I think watching reality TV, one of the most amazing things is obviously, especially Love Is Blind is quite interesting, and shout out to yourself and Jarrette's journey. But I was telling the audience, like, I don't want anyone, and it's happened again this season as well with Bliss and Zach, and I've said the same thing, which is I don't like people choosing people second. Like I don't like it because
But you have to understand it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in an experiment.
Hold on,
and granted, I will say that like I also had a second choice, and I figured mine out like a day before Jarette did too. And so that's what I'm saying. It could have very well been the other way around. With an experiment like that, where you're dating 15 other people, it's an experiment. It's gonna happen. It's how you handle it. But this is why I think Zach and Bliss are gonna be okay, because Zach seems like he has a better character than Jarrette. I think they're gonna be fine. That's just my opinion. And plus, I met them in person.
I think they've got great chemistry. I don't like it. I think they've got great chemistry. But I'm gonna say this. Okay, so for instance, what you just said, right? You had a second choice, right? Yeah. But the reality is, you made a choice at the end. You still had a first choice. You know what I mean? True. No matter how close second is to first is always first, right? So for me, whenever someone's second, right, it's never good, because especially for us as men, when we're choosing, for men especially, when we're choosing somebody, like first and second is like, maybe for women it might be slightly different. Maybe you got a bit more grace when it comes to women choosing their first and second, because we all really know that women sometimes as well grow in their attraction. Sometimes they're telling me all this stuff that women do, right? But for us as men, it's very, you know what I mean? So if you're number one, you're number one. Number two, I am hard pressed to find any man or any woman tell me a story where they said, I knew I was second, and yeah, we've been together for 50 years. Like, it's hard pressed. Yeah, because men oftentimes don't necessarily do that. So, you know, that's why I was like so hard on it. Like, yo, he's crying in a towel. He wanted Mallory. Okay. You didn't get to see that until later, innit? Yeah. I had a conversation with Mal in the pods that they didn't air. But I talked to Mal. I was like, Mal, please, can you just tell me like the degree of upset he was? Because I just want to know if this man was like boo-hooing. Like, I don't have time to be dealing with that. And she's like, no, I mean, he was just like he was upset, yeah, but it wasn't that bad. And then when I saw it, and I saw this man like throw a full tantrum, I was like, he threw a full tantrum.
I was like, are you kidding me? And I looked at him, I said, I've never seen a grown man cry like that. And he was like, Iyanna. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like, you was really boo-hooing over this woman. And I was like, is this you, bro? Is this you? He's like, no, it's not like that. I was like, okay. But the issue again isn't that he chose me second. It's that he treated me as if I were second. And even in life, he did. Second to himself, second to his friends, second to anything, really. And that was the issue.
What was that about? Because we saw a little bit of that, but we didn't get a full explanation. Him going out, but you're at home, this kind of thing. We didn't get a full explanation. The show kind of showed it. Didn't really dive deep into it. I felt really, I did feel a little bit bad. I was like, you know, you two are on two different worlds. He's outgoing, you're ingoing. Yeah.
So I'll be honest
you
about
chew that chip
too.
as well, girl. Come on.
So I'll be honest about that as well. The show was filmed literally right after quarantine. And this is when I was in my full-blown introvert mode. Like, I didn't want to leave the house. I had gotten so used to being in the house, and it was so overstimulating for me to leave the house. So I will say that's not actually me. I like to go out. I like to dance, which is why once I started getting the groove, like, I did start going. I probably started going out a little bit more than him once he started slowing down. It was like it was a normal amount. Okay, I don't overindulge, but nonetheless, like, this was right during quarantine, really. And I hated leaving the house. And that's why he kept excusing his behavior of like going out so much. He was like, well, it's just because of quarantine. And like, I haven't been cooped up in the house. I'm an extrovert. And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. Like, I get that. So that's why the whole going out thing, but that wasn't a real issue. The real issue with him is the overindulgence and him coming home at like obscene, ridiculous times of the day. Like, it's like, why is the sun out and you're just not getting here? I don't understand. Yeah, so that was a real issue. Yeah. But
wait, I feel that's a jump.
I'm not that introverted.
Oh,
I'm
that's
really
fair.
not that introverted. Yeah.
I realized I jumped at everyone because I didn't let you. Well, I let you finish, but I didn't ask a follow-up question because I kind of downplayed it. When you said he came to your house at 5 a.m. to convince you, baby, I just need to know. I mean, because that's a tense time, right? It's tense because obviously you're about to make a choice, make a decision. You know, I would love to know your thoughts and your feelings. So at 5 a.m. he comes to the door, you see him. Yeah. What's going on? What's happening at that moment in time? Because like you said, you are at that point going to say no. So while going with the 5 a.m., what's happening there?
Well, because he was out. He was out that day. And quite honestly, I didn't understand the club scene. I don't like clubs. They are ridiculously overstimulating for me. And so I didn't know what entailed like being a club promoter and stuff like that. So he was telling me like he was working, and my dumb ass believed him. And I was like, oh, working? I was like, this late? He's like, yeah, we have to like do, and he started listing off tasks. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, but Jarrette, like, I don't understand. Like, And he just kept over explaining. And then eventually I was like,
Mm.
okay, well, I think I believe you. I think I believe you. And I was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to take a chance. Sure. Why the fuck would I do that? But anyways.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no,
it's in
that's
hindsight.
what we're here for. Why would you want to?
Listen, look,
Why?
I
What are you
don't know.
here
I'm
for?
still figuring it out,
Huh?
okay?
That's what we want to
I
know,
don't
baby.
know. Traumatized kid don't know how to trust her own intuition. It's just like, man, lessons learned when I tell you, like, lessons learned. I will never repeat those mistakes again. That's one thing about me, though. Once I learn, like, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need to get beat up by life again.
No, that's very fair. I mean, okay,
I
so
know, man.
on my end, obviously, like, you know, how I often talk to people is, you know, as much as we talk about the show and everything like that, we do like to talk about, to understand where you're coming from, because, you know, I can talk about the show all day long, but we only see what we see. So, like you said,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily trust your intuition. What's behind that for you then? So, like, is that like from a childhood situation? Is that,
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
how you grew up? You know?
Yeah, for sure. I do get weary about talking about my childhood trauma because I think people typically weaponize it against me. But I
Mm,
have gone through quite a few. So growing up, I also grew up like, and this is also part of the trauma bond. But I also grew up like Jarrette, where it was like a very strict household, except we responded in very different ways. But it was a very, very strict household, and I wasn't allowed to make my own choices. She made all the choices for me, down to like what I wore and where I went, of course, because I was a teenager. But it was
mm.
like times 10, times 10, and I didn't really get to live out my own choices or figure things out until I got to college, and I went buck wild for what, 2 years, and then after that I started to settle down. And that's why I also empathize with Jared, because I understood where he was. What I should have taken into account is that he was 32 at the time, and that he had plenty of time to adjust and to take responsibility for his own trauma and healing. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. I just like, yeah, so I think I never really learned to completely trust my intuition, and
That's
I
real.
had really just gotten to a point, I think, during quarantine, really, where I confronted myself quite a bit, and I had to be honest about like where I was, and the things that I had been through and how they affected me, and that's really where I started my journey. So you really caught me. Everyone caught me really like in the middle of my self-awareness journey. So I wasn't quite there. And so I will admit, like I wasn't completely ready yet, because if I was, I wouldn't have chosen Jarrette. I wouldn't have said yes. But I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. And neither was he, clearly. But you live and you learn, man.
No, I mean, listen, and that's a real thing, because whenever I talk to people that are on reality TV, like we do a lot of stuff with
Mm-hmm.
Own Network, and when I interview
Mm-hmm.
the castmates, my thing is to try and get to the bottom of it, right? So, like, whatever the show
Mm-hmm.
is showing us, get to the bottom of it. Because I think the main thing for me was, whenever I was seeing a situation with Jarrette, was why did she make the choice to go with someone who, for us clearly, and maybe say me clearly,
Yeah.
it looked like the person knew that Mallory was number one, that he had always wanted
Yeah.
that person, and so
Yeah.
it look like you were the second choice. And then I'm asking, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, then why does someone want to go through that particular marriage then? And like
Yeah.
you just kind of explained, it's the intuition aspect, not no the in your intuition and your decision making. Like I said, the trusting of it is not an easy process. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I do appreciate you sharing that as well, because I think it gives a bit more insight into why that choice is actually kind of made as
Mm-hmm.
well. You know, what's
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, no, no. No, no, you're fine.
Oh,
You're fine.
I don't know, because
Go ahead.
I thought your brain was tinkering. No, but yeah, no. So yeah, so I definitely understand that part as well. And I definitely hear that as well. So this
Yeah.
situation, obviously now it's all come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Girls, any more that needs to come out, because I'm just saying, because
No, thank God that's it. Thank God that is it. I like, that's the last thing I got. I'm not going through this no more. Anything else is like just gonna be pure, like my healing process on the podcast. But people don't really listen to my podcast like that, which is what I like. At least Love is Blind fans don't, which is what I also like. I've built my own audience alone outside of Love is Blind. And so like they'll be hearing me from now on, just like really talking about the healing process, but because now I can talk about the healing process and how I've gotten through everything, because people have been DMing the heck out of me, like, how the hell are you dealing with all this? And I'm like, I don't know, girl, I'm trying to cope, but let's cope together, because we're all just trying to figure it out, man. But that's it. That's all I got.
I hear you.
That was the last little.
So before Love Is Blind, were you actively dating? Were you in a relationship previously before that as well? Anything like that?
No, I hadn't been in a relationship, I think, for 2 years, because I realized I needed to be single. Again, that was during the time where I realized I needed to confront quite a few things about myself. And I just had to be honest. So no, I wasn't in a relationship for at least 2 years before the show. Yeah, because I went serious. Like, I was reading marriage books, and I was writing down questions to ask, and even still, that didn't do me no good. But nonetheless, I was trying. Okay. Are we back? Sorry, everyone's calling me to check in.
Don't worry. That's okay.
Just making sure I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, you're good. I understand, man.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, no, I wasn't dating.
That's fair. No, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I think that's because I think that's always interesting. Like, because Love Is Blind is quite a unique experiment. You know what I mean? Like, Married at First Sight is one thing, but Love Is Blind is quite a unique experiment in its own. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree?
No, I would definitely agree. I would absolutely agree. I would I think Married at First Sight is worse in an extent, because you don't actually get a choice. And Love Is Blind, like, you at least have some form of a choice. But yeah, I would say it's definitely unique. But that's why it's such a hit show, because it's so unique. No, it's not Jarette calling. Y'all are crazy.
I mean, Jarette, if you call it, just let us know, sir, because
he wouldn't call me. He wouldn't call me. He really.
Are you not talking? You guys not on talking like that? You guys not on a talking level like that anymore?
We were cordial before, but I realized after the divorce that every time we were talking, it was always me initiating. Checking in on him again, because I was being protective. Checking in on him, make sure he was okay. But he wouldn't reach out to me. You know, your girl can be delusional sometimes.
No, I get that. You know, we literally just did a panel on Tuesday night about life after divorce. We literally did a super panel. I had a few other people who have been through divorce and let them give their experiences, because, you know, I've never been married, I've never been divorced, so, you know, but I think us singletons need to, you know, be able to understand where people are coming from when they go through these scenarios. I would love to know your experience. Like, I know obviously you spoke quite a bit in terms of, like, you know, the healing process and the journey and everything like that, but, you know, like, obviously especially for us as people, like, you know, when marriage is such a big thing, you know what I mean? And then divorce is like an even bigger thing, because it's like a lot of people attach it to like almost like a failure in a sense, right? Like wherever I failed or in a sense. But how did you see it in terms of you divorcing and you getting to that point?
There were phases. I think at first I saw it as a failure, and then eventually I started to move into, like, this is a learned lesson. And I think it was a lesson that I needed to learn for sure, because without the lessons that I learned in that marriage, I wouldn't be able to trust my intuition. I wouldn't be able to understand what value I truly bring to a relationship. I also understand my flaws. I also wouldn't be able to walk into, like, my true purpose of what I feel I'm supposed to do, which is help people heal, mostly through my experience, which is exhausting. But nonetheless, it is something that I've chosen to do. But yeah, I mean, now I see it as a learned lesson. I was meant to learn those things. I'm, again, a hard-headed learner. And I think God was like, girl, if you don't wake your ass up. So I'm awake now. Your girl's wide awake. But
listen,
yeah, it's definitely a learned lesson.
And I hear you on that. Listen, as somebody who's also a fellow healer in that aspect, you know, and the reason why I probably am so harsh on not just yourself, on others like it, is because I know what I'm saying. Like, and I told people my story, where yours is nice. I mean, I was never married, but I'm saying what I dealt with a girl, what I allowed, You know what I mean? Second best? Ah, mate, I done it all. You know what I mean? Like, and person standing right in front of me and claiming the other person. I'm still like, no, but no, you sure you want no? Are you sure you don't want me? But me, but me, you know? So I can definitely say that I definitely, and that's why I'm so harsh. I was like, I want people to wake up because it's like, yo, it's a harsh lesson because it hurts. Because we're trying to heal people.
It's necessary. It's necessary though. It's so necessary. But that's why I was also very critical of Jarrette, because I saw where he was and like where he could be. Granted, I took that responsibility on and I shouldn't have done that. But I was very critical of him. And I was like, what are you doing, Jarrette? Like, because no one else was calling him out. And I was the only one, which was exhausting for me. And I was like, bro, I'm your conscience. I'm your wife. I'm your doormat.
It gets
like, what is it?
Is that so?
Sorry,
would you say that's right? You're good, baby. You're good.
I have shade room notifications on because I know they're gonna post about it. And I want to get ahead of it.
I hope you're ready for that. They're going push it.
When I tell you the black community comes after me, they do not play. They do not play.
We don't. Me included. I can't lie to you. I don't want to lie to you.
I mean, I'm like, my God.
I saw the people sent me the thing and said, "Coach, have you seen that?" I said, "Oh, guys, you know how I feel about this thing, guys. Come on." And they sent it to me, and I said, "All right, cool. I'm gonna come and do my video. You can see by my title. I'm like, yo, like,
that's honestly, I feel like that's probably what drew me in. I was like, oh, okay.
It's a very heavy title. Because I really want people to like wake up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to make.
They need to. I think people love to run from their own shit. People also hate to smell their own shit. Forget they have shit.
It's not easy. Yeah. So the potential you saw in Jarrette, I want to know what potential you saw in Jarrette, because we can't see that because the show doesn't show us that. No. I mean, like, the show doesn't show us that. That's what I mean. Sorry, I didn't mean like a shade. Like, we can't see it because of the show. The show doesn't show us that. So I'm not saying that you that. I'm saying the show doesn't show us that. So what were you seeing as potential? I didn't mean that as shade, Jarrette, just in case. But my shade is reserved for other videos. But you know, what did you see as potential? That's what we want to know.
There's actually a really he's a really kind man, and if someone really does need him, like, he'll go for it, and he'll give his all for that. I mean, clearly not for me, but like for his friends, for his family, like, he really is like a very giving person, and he's a little bit too lenient when it comes to, because people will literally stab him, and like, he's still like such a forgiving person. He has a really, I think it's an attachment issue kind of thing, but he has a really hard time like letting it go. But I think that also comes from his heart. I mean, at the end of the day, like, bless his heart. He has a good heart. That's why I keep saying he's not a bad guy. Like, he's just ridiculously unhealed, and he's been lying to himself for a very long time. And he has people around him who also, they might call him out for a second, but they're also indulging in the same stuff that he is. It is his culture, and it's really disheartening to watch, just watching him like slowly disintegrate, because I'm like, bro, and he's a very emotional person. He has all these emotions, but he doesn't release. And that's what I really saw. And I was like, bro, let me help you. Like, I can help you. I know how to do it. I know I used to be where you are, but again, I shouldn't have taken that on as my responsibility. But I mean, that's what I saw him for the unhealed, broken person that he is. And I wanted to like just help mend some things. Why do we do that? Do you
want the truth, or do you want the truth? You know, I can say
why do we do that?
I mean, listen, it's the same energy we call Build-A-Bear Boo around here, okay? And Build-A-Bear Boo is partly, listen, first and foremost, you can see yourself in him, right? So that's first, honestly, that's the truest thing, you can see yourself in him, right? And number two, you actually have the tools which you have helped yourself with. You can see yourself helping the person get to the other side, right? So it's a genuine interest. You genuinely want to help them. The other side, baby, let me take my glasses off for this part. The other side, which people don't like to talk about, is that it's also wedged in ego. I know it's painful to say. It's wedged in ego.
It feels nice to be needed. It feels nice to know you have the tools that someone else doesn't have. It's like, no, but I can help you. There we go. God. Why do we do
There we
that?
go.
I mean, I know why we do that, but
Well,
like even still,
because
like
we need
Jesus.
to be valued. You know what I mean? And it comes from
Yes.
our childhood. Our
Yes.
childhood of we want to be two things. We want to be seen and we want to be heard, right? And when those two things are not being done to us, we find our ways to be seen and to be heard. I think we were literally talking about this yesterday about having daddy issues, and I was talking about my own even. But the need to be seen and to be heard presents itself in different ways. Some of us have a healing spirit, and we realize when we start to put ourselves in a position where we begin to heal people, we're suddenly seen and heard. So we then interpret that into relationships, and then we're trying to be seen and heard in a relationship by healing people, right? And so that we end up choosing partners who will be broken and who are quote unquote a project.
Yes.
And you know, and then we try to fix them up. Because what will happen is if they get to the other side, then they will end up loving us the way that we want to be loved, which is they'll appreciate us, they'll see us, they'll need us, and everything like that. The reality is when you create Frankenstein always kills the creator.
Come on, truth. Come on, truth. That was beautiful. But that was all facts.
I'm thinking to myself.
That was literally all facts. I do like to be seen. I do like to be heard, and I do like to be valued. Why can't I just now I'm learning to like channel those things in healthier ways into getting those needs met. Because I don't know what the fuck that was. It was a blip. It's okay though.
We've all been there. Look, you know, I tell my audience about my situations and the reason why I stayed in those relationships. I've literally ignored red flags because I felt like. And I can give an example. I ignored a red flag where a girl said to me, look, I like to check through phones. And I was like, well, I've got nothing to hide, so I don't mind. But I ignored that red flag because I was like, well, my goodness should be able to, you know, supersede your insecurity, right? My goodness should be able to save your insecurity. So don't worry, I'm going to be as open and as thingy as whatever. But the person has an insecurity and they're going to keep on looking for something to find a flaw in. Do you know what I mean? So eventually, no matter how squeaky clean you are, they're going to find a speck of dirt. And when they find a speck of dirt, it's like, aha, I gotcha. And then when it gets you like that, that's how the toxic cycle begins to start. So a lot of times, even myself, it's wedged in my own ego, it's most of my own superiority, in my, I don't want to say goodness, I want to say niceness, because we differentiate between good and nice on this channel. Niceness is not goodness. Niceness ends up in manipulation because you're trying to use, you know, me being nice, quote unquote, as a way to retrieve something. Whereas goodness is about, that's my quality intrinsically. I just do these things because I want to do them. I'm not doing it to get something back.
I usually say good and kind, but I say, sorry, nice and kind, but I like
that's the same. Nice and kind is
good better. But yeah. I will say that was another flaw that I had in our marriage. I got to a point to where he wasn't communicating with, I mean, it didn't even get to the point. It was from the beginning where he wasn't communicating with me at all. And the only way that and this is when I knew I should have left, but it became this pattern where the only way that I would be able to get the truth or like seek out truth is by going through his phone. And I felt disgusting doing that because it's an invasion of privacy. And if you feel like you have to go through your partner's phone, like, why are you with them? Why are you with them? But it became this cycle of like, something's happening. He's not telling me what's happening. I'm asking, I'm trying to give him a soft place to land. He's not communicating with me. And then I would like go through his phone and I would always find something because if you're looking, you're going to find something. You're going to find something. But granted, he was actually doing stuff. But even still, nonetheless, it became this bad pattern, this terrible pattern. And that's when I realized I gotta go. I can't keep doing this. This isn't normal. This is toxic. This is really toxic. But yeah, that's another thing I regret. I wish I hadn't let it get to that point. I wish I was able to walk away before then. Because that's not me. That's really not me. I don't like going through people's phones. I don't want to feel like I have to go through your phone, you know? I mean, that's just toxic as fuck.
It is, but I guess in the moment, what you're kind of thinking in the moment is, you know, you just want to know the truth. And I always tell this to people as well. Like, one thing about, and even since we're talking about cheating as well, because it's come up as before, one thing about cheating that I learned is that if someone cheats, it's better to tell the truth than to lie the whole way through. And I said, like, look, cheating is one thing, right? But cheating that comes with lies is soul destroying. Because it actually destroys the reality of the other person that you're living with. I can never trust anything you ever say to me. Now, when I'm looking in your eye and you're telling me something, I have to try and figure out whether you're telling me the truth or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you came to me and
Yeah.
said, listen, hey, I got caught, my bad. I did cheat. I did this. I did this. I
Yeah.
did this. I did this. You can at least go, well, I know that once they got caught, they do tell the truth. If you don't tell me the
Yeah.
truth, I now have to consider everything you do as being an action of, are they acting? Are they pretending? You know, like it's literally, it will create PTSD for you in other future relationships. It is soul destroying. Someone lies
It
and
is.
cheats.
It really is.
It's
It really is. It really is. But that's why I also learned now, like, to never, first of all, to never move that fast. I relinquished trust when there wasn't even a proper foundation for trust to be built. So I mean, was it true trust to begin with? But yeah, it did create it was bad. But I really did try to work through it. I don't think it helped though that he was very impatient with me, and he would tell me well, you're holding a grudge. I was like, I promise you I'm not. Like, I'm trying my best to like really like get through this and get over it. And I shouldn't have used those phrases of like getting over it, because it's not something you just get over, man. It's not something you get, but you grow through. You have to grow through. And I think at the end of the day, he wasn't willing to grow, and that was where I was like, I can't, because you're not even like willing to confront yourself. Like, again, I'm your conscience, and that's exhausting for me. And I yeah.
Did you have many conversations after you found out he obviously he cheated? Did you have many conversations after as well? Like, and how do those conversations go? Because I know that it takes between 6 to 24 months apparently to heal a heart that's been broken from cheating.
Oh, for sure. So one thing about me is I won't say I'm very confrontational, but like I do speak my mind quite a bit, and I can be very direct, and that made Jarrette very, very uncomfortable because he's very avoidant. And so when I would feel this sense of like panic, I would talk to him about it, like, hey, I'm feeling wildly uncomfortable right now. And just like on the show, I would ask, like, I just need like a little reassurance, like, is everything okay? Like, is there anything you want to talk about? Like, how do you think is there anything that I'm doing? Like, and so, but anyways, we would have those conversations. We'd have them quite often, and he would get so tired of the conversation. He's like, I feel like I'm having to defend myself every time. I feel like I'm having to, and I'm like, that's not my intention. It's not like you versus me. It's like us versus the problem. And he just didn't see it that way. Every time I brought it up, it felt like an attack on him. And again, I understand where he is, because I used to be just like that. And I'm like, I try my best to just like try to be patient and try to be calm and just like, but he would just shut down. And now when I tell you shut down, I mean full-blown stonewall. He just sit there and just be like blank on his face. And I'd be I'm like, are you registering? Like, am I explaining well enough? And then it put me in this site, because I'm already a rambler, clearly. And then so I just like keep rambling, and like he nothing, literally nothing. And that used to scare me, because I've never seen that before, but like nothing. And then I realized, because when I saw interactions with him and his parents, it made sense. It made so much sense, because that's exactly what he's like with his parents. As soon as his parents start to like offer any form of advice, nothing. And I realized, like, this is a trauma response. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, this is his own personal journey. There's literally nothing I can do about it, other than like try my best to continue to be supportive and like giving him a soft place to land when he does want to eventually land. But the conversations just weren't very productive. But we were in therapy for a long time. And I was hoping it was helping, but in reality, it was really just helping me. Like, I realized there were things about me that I needed to
be ready to it.
And that's, yeah. Oh God.
That's tense, because that's a lot, because what you're describing there for me sounds like somebody who is, well, I talk to the audience a lot about emotional regulation in 3 components. We have process, understand, and express. And when people can't express, they usually express it in the form of behavior, which oftentimes becomes violent or aggressive.
Yes.
And if someone can't process, which is what Jarrette you're talking about now, they shut down. When you can't process, it's almost like a computer. When a computer has too much to process, it shuts down. And if someone can't understand, there's a lot of confusion in their mind. So when someone's struggling to process all that information, like you were just describing, having a conversation about what was happening, and when they're shutting down, is because there's too much things. He's over processing information, and that becomes very difficult for the other party, like yourself, who's in another scene. Because if I'm trying to explain to you about what you did, You know what I mean? And I'm trying to tell you how you hurt me, but you can't
Yeah.
handle it. And you now shut down. We're actually not progressing in the relationship, and we're actually not healing the heart that I have. So I could continue going on, but this heart is going to be, it's going to be scabbed over. It's not really going to be healed, which means that it's only going to take another situation, and my heart's going to tear open even worse than beforehand, which means that it's probably going to be a bigger issue down the line, which is actually because of the original wound wasn't fully healed. So I definitely understand where you're coming from in that aspect of the cheating situation. That's real.
Literally, yeah. It really does. It makes me sad. It really does make me sad because I really did want that marriage to work. I mean, clearly, I really did want that marriage to work. And I wanted so much for him, and I still do. I still want so much for him. And I want him to be able to get to the other side of just like at least like some self-awareness and just starting his journey. But like what can I do? What can I do? You know, I can't even be a support for him anymore, and that makes me sad too. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was at my detriment, and I was carrying a lot of weight, like a lot of weight. But not anymore. Now I'm carrying my own damn weight, and that's heavy enough.
So you guys were in therapy. What was lifted for you then? What did you feel like was helping you and speaking to you then?
It was really just learning how to be a partner of integrity, and like despite whatever Jarrette was doing, like granted I was having very human reactions, but despite whatever Jarrette was doing, I wanted to be able to hold myself accountable. Like doing things like going through his phone is just not okay. Like at the end of the day, I have a choice. It's like either you're going to stay in this relationship, and if you want to say you want to trust him and move forward, then you have to trust him and move forward. And so I was holding myself accountable quite a bit. And my therapist was doing such a good job at confronting me. Because even in my therapy sessions, she jokes that like I therapize myself, and most of the time all she has to do is just ask questions, and it triggers like multiple thoughts, and I'm like, oh my God, what? And then like I question myself. I'm doing it all the time. So like I therapize myself, and so I realized in therapy like the questions that I needed to be asking myself, and the thought process that I needed to have. Also, I had such a in the marriage, I gained such a negative mindset and just negative perspective. Like I would speak to myself negatively, and I just have such a negative outlook on life and on everything really. But I mean, how could that not happen when that form of like betrayal is happening? And then also neglect, because emotionally and mentally I was being very neglected, but it's because we were two very different people. But also because he hasn't started his healing journey. He would tell me things like well, of course, that like I talk too deep all the time, and I'm like, well, what is all the time for you? And he's like, once a day. He's like, that's too much. Once a day is way too much.
That's not enough.
And I'm like, oh okay. And that's where we just were so disconnected. Our connection crumbled pretty quickly after our marriage, because like it's just like the mental and emotional aspect weren't there like it was like in the pods. God, which was so hard for us to stay married. I can't believe we lasted that long, if I'm honest. But he refused to give up on that marriage, which confuses me because his actions said otherwise, which is why I also stayed. I'm like, well, clearly you want to be in it if you're still here. But then I saw the statistics of like most of the time it's women initiating the divorces and men are fine with just like being okay. What's that about?
Pop along.
Yeah, like, what is that about?
I mean, the stark reality is we'll happily plop along because we can cheat and nothing happens to us socially. There's no consequences for us. So technically we could actually plop along the relationship, which is what's happened here. As much as Jarrette has cheated and the divorce is broken, who's going to kill him? Nobody. But if you had cheated,
nobody.
You would have been on about 4 or 5 of my videos. So, you know what I mean?
They would have crucified me.
So that's the reality why it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get that. Yeah. No, I definitely get it. And I do identify what you're saying there about, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well. That depth, that is like one of the, so that situation where also I got cheated on was the same conversation was had about that as well in terms of the depth. I'm a person that likes deep conversations. I need depth. I can't stay on the shallow surface. It's frustrating for me to stay there. So I need that all day, every day. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay. Yeah. So
same.
You know what I mean? So just don't, so I know the frustration, and it became such a struggle when the person kept on telling me about why you always gotta be so deep that I start questioning myself, like, yo, maybe I need to like come up for air or something, because clearly, you know what I mean? I don't know if that,
it does make
that
you
makes
second
sense.
guess yourself. That's for sure. And that's why, and a lot of times I realized in retrospect, when Jarrette was calling me hypercritical and judgmental, what I was really is just analyzing behavior most of the time and like trying to like talk about that. And to him, again, it felt like an attack. So like, I mean, of course he's not gonna like it. Of course he's not gonna want to talk. But naturally, he just doesn't do that. And if he does, like, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times it is bullshit. If you listen to his podcast, bullshit. A lot of it is bullshit. And that's really unfortunate, because I'm like, bro, just be honest. But he can't be honest with himself, which makes it difficult for him to be honest with other people. Yeah. Which is so unfortunate to watch. Oh, I just wanted to like do it for him. Like, let me just help.
I get it. No, I get that. That's interesting that you brought that up. Actually, the death situation is a very real thing.
Yeah. It's a very real thing. And I feel like, and that's what I really meant about incompatibility. That's what I was really talking about, that we were just on such different levels and interests. Because I wanted to, I like to talk about stuff. I have a whole podcast dedicated to it. Like, I talk about these things naturally. Like, I want to do it. I talk in all of my relationships. Like, this is just what we do. It's how we connect. Just analyzing our own behavior and talking about just like, come on, like, it's life. How could you not talk about this stuff? But then how could you not grow, like, or want to grow? Like, why would you want to be stagnant? And like, yes, it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, like, don't you want to look a year from now and be like, wow, like, look how far I've come. I mean, granted, I might have taken 10 steps back a couple of times. Nonetheless, like, there is movement. There's movement here. I just didn't understand that. I really didn't get that. And I've never dated anyone like that before, which is why, again, I say, like, Jarrette was an anomaly. If it weren't for the experiment in real life, if Jarrette had actually approached me, I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not interested. Because I'd be able to quickly see, like, oh, okay. But again, because of the experiment, I was just like, it was making decisions too quickly. I wasn't confronting things about myself. And, like, the environment was just like, it was like a whirlwind. It was an anomaly. Like, it's not real. I mean, it is real. Clearly it's real, but like,
No, I get you, and I think the pods is such an interesting phenomenon, because I think from my perspective, this is me talking from my perspective and just kind of watching yourself and Jarrette. What I saw was, oftentimes as men, right, we haven't had the opportunity. No, let me not say I've not had the opportunity. Let me rephrase that, because that'll be wrong phraseology. Oftentimes with men, I was speaking about this. Yes, all the conversations seem to come up today. So yesterday we had a conversation and saying about the reality is a lot of men don't need wives at the point in life they are. They need a friend. But we get confused.
Oh, that's good. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. That's true.
I was like, wait, hold on.
Sorry,
yeah,
it's good. Keep going.
a lot of men don't need wives. They need a good friend. And what happens is, for us as men, when we operate with other men, we tend not to go on the emotional plane. We tend to do that with women, right? So what happens is, sometimes we can get talking, and I saw this with Mallory, and he did something very interesting. He split who he was for Mallory and for you. What he saw was, okay, I'm going to be really open emotional about my scars with Iyanna, but when I go to Mallory, I'm going to give her I'm good, I'm ready to go, like, me and you can do this, right? But the reality was, as men, oftentimes what we're doing is we're getting free therapy, right? We're getting free therapy from a woman. We've used you as the therapist, because that is a safe place, because we know, one, you care about us, and two, you're not a random person at this point in time. You're somebody who cares about me. And this is also a thing that goes a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. There's also a power dynamic that comes into this play as well, because with a therapist, the person can call you all the way out. When someone's a partner, they can't call you all the way out, because they love you or they care about you. So then you have that form of protection that puts itself in front. So that's why a lot of times men will say, I don't do therapy, but yet they took 4 or 5 hours to a girl that they supposedly like, and they will tell her everything that's ever gone in their life.
Just trauma dumping.
Trauma dumping on them, right?
Yeah.
and it's because of that safety aspect. So,
Yes.
you know, what I saw with Jarrette, and I saw with the when we were talking to you and talking to Mallory, he split himself into two. And you know, when men tend to do that when we haven't healed and we haven't taken the time to, and we're scared to be vulnerable, you know, and be truthful about how we're actually feeling. So yeah, that was what I was seeing with Jarrette, and that's your ability to heal is also the very thing that attracts somebody who's not healed, because they're looking for somewhere to release those things. So sometimes they don't need a wife, and we have to be honest as men. We don't need a wife. We need a friend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. Those facts. Those literally facts. Okay. Well, any other questions?
No, I'm trying to think of what's coming to my mind. I don't know if the audience have any questions. I'm sure they probably do, to be honest. They have a fun. Listen, audience, if you've got some questions, shout me some of those questions that you got. Hit me with something, and I will ask Iyanna. It's Iyanna, right? Because I'll be killing everybody's name.
Yes. No,
okay,
you're
cool.
Because
I'll be killing everybody's name. I'll be pronouncing it differently, so you need to know. So audience, if you've got any questions, this is the best time to ask it. It's impromptu, but you know, keep it respectful. But yes, please do ask the questions, so you know I can ask our dear fellow colleague here, you know, some questions as well. So but yeah, it's so obviously now, since obviously this, okay, someone said, what did the parents think? I already asked that question about what the parents think about his behavior. Ooh.
Oh, I mean, clearly they weren't happy. So when you saw my mom talking to him, on after the altar, and she was crying, my mom doesn't really cry, but when she was talking to him and after the altar, they knew everything at that point. Because I was very open with my parents, because I realized I needed support, and my parents have been married for who knows how long, and they have also gone through some things, and so I was like, I need help. Am I doing things wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so I reached out to my mom, and I called her. I remember 3 days before it was filming, and that's when I found out, and I called her crying, and that's why she was crying, because she was reliving it in the moment of me like calling her crying and telling her about him cheating. And so yeah, they weren't happy, of course, and you saw my dad with his stern face, but again, they wanted to be a support, and my dad was like, look, I get it, like you're having a hard. My dad also had a hard time letting go of his single behavior when they first got married. And so my dad understood, and he's like, look, I can help you. Like, let me be a support for you. Like, just reach out to me whenever you need me. If you need advice, like if you need accountability, I got you. So my parents weren't pleased. Clearly they weren't pleased, and they don't like seeing me hurt. They don't like seeing me get run through the mud, but nonetheless, they still wanted to support, because they're great people. I love my parents. They're pretty dope.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. Question again. Does the show provide therapy for the couples post-marriage?
They'll pay for therapy if you want it. And so they actually paid for a couple of our first sessions.
Okay.
So yeah, they don't provide it, but if you need it, they'll pay for it.
Fair enough. Are you dating?
I am dating. I am dating. I know people will say, Iyanna, you're not ready. But I know I can give 100% to someone else. Yes, I'm still coping. I'm still healing. However, I'm at the point now where I can put my all into a relationship while doing both simultaneously. The hard part is continuously checking myself and making sure, like, Iyanna, you know, keep yourself in check, making sure I'm not reacting in a way that's toxic or that's some trauma from the relationship. And I don't think I'll completely process this marriage or divorce probably until like the end of this year. So much has happened, and I keep having new revelations, and I think they'll continue to happen. But one thing I will say is I always lead with kindness, and I always lead with just making sure I'm being protective, not just myself, but of the people who are affected by my behavior and my actions. So I got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready now. So yeah, I have been dating. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, but I am dating. So yeah.
All right. The actual follow-on question actually from that was, what is it you're looking for in your next relationship?
Oh my God. Emotional intelligence, self-awareness, because somebody can have one and not the other. And I didn't know that until I just met someone
very true.
recently who had one and not the other.
Listen.
So both of those things, someone who does like to speak about deep things, who has similar interests, just overall real compatibility, but more importantly, someone with good character. I mean, at the end of the day, like I just want someone who has good, kind, empathetic, understanding, flexible, just like very adaptable, you know, just good character.
I'm with you on this. I'm with you on this.
Yeah.
Tony Owen said, I would like to ask her if she felt from the beginning that there was a foreshadowing of the marriage not working out. We saw flags in the beginning on our end. Did you see them as well?
I saw some of them. I didn't see all of them again because I didn't see everything that you guys saw. But I saw a few things. But at the time, they were just yellow flags to me. The funny part is I've watched my season when it first came out, and I saw it through different eyes. And I recently just rewatched it, which is crazy because it looked like I was literally just walking off the edge of a cliff. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? It's really strange watching everything in retrospect. But yeah, I saw some yellow flags. To me, they were yellow flags at the time. But I do wish I had seen everything that you guys had seen.
Okay, I'm with you on that. A couple more questions, actually. Just a few more. Okay, so I've missed the title. Since you say Jarrette is not your usual type, what is it? What's your usual type? It's
usually an intellectual type. I don't really have a physical type. Literally all of my boyfriends look very, very different. And it's funny because my friends met him. That's also what they didn't show on camera. My friends did get to meet him. When they met him, they were like, that's not what you usually go for. Like, I don't usually go for like the super into sports guy. Like I do like guys who like listen to podcasts and like read books and like, I don't know, randomly like plants or some shit. I don't know. But like, it's just, I like an intellectual type, and Jarrette wasn't that typical type. But again, because of the experiment, I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
I have a question. Someone else actually asked it. If you could plug your podcast as well, so that people know where to find you and how to get behind you and support.
Yeah. It's called Fill in the Blank, tactile feel, like touch feel in the blank.
Okay.
Yeah,
like feel. Okay.
Yeah, like feel. Yeah. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube, on really on everything. Yeah.
I've put it in the chat. Fill in the Blank podcast. Yeah, as well. I have a question. How are you feeling right now? Obviously, after we had a conversation, how are you feeling at this point? You know what I mean? After you've eaten your Chick-fil-A as well, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I mean, I feel good. I woke up this morning with an extreme amount of anxiety. I went to sleep with an extreme amount of anxiety because, again, like I understood that this was gonna feel raw to an extent, but I always forget just how intense it can be. Just knowing that people are saying things about you, knowing people are talking about you. So I woke up with anxiety. I mean, I feel a lot better now, though. I feel a lot better now. I feel good.
Is it tough? Like, because I know, like you said, you had the notifications on for Shade Room. Is it tough being in that position where you're almost waiting for the next headline, kind of thing to hit?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's why I made sure that this episode came out after my birthday. I was like, I just want to enjoy my birthday in peace. I went to a cabin by myself and I unplugged for a few days and just like got lost in my thoughts and in nature. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Again, I think it's so abnormal for people to live like this, but in this modern world, like it is, I mean, strangely enough, it's a career path and it's what some of us choose to do, but it is a heavy burden to carry a lot of the time. But again, I signed up for it, so I can't complain too much.
Oh, I hear you. Listen, there's a ton of questions. There's too many to do today, and I think maybe that we can reserve that for another time. I want to respect your time as well. But listen, I do appreciate you coming through. Someone asked me, do I regret the title that I put up there? No, I don't. I wouldn't do it if I didn't mean what I said at the time. So no, I mean, generally I do care, but I like to say we don't care because in the sense of the fact that we knew that the situation. I predicted it, and I didn't. I don't
I mean,
like
everyone
predicting
knew.
things.
Everyone predicted it. It's like, I mean, even me watching the show, it's like, well, duh. Well, duh. So I get it. I don't think anyone should care. I wasn't really doing it for everybody else. I was doing it for my fill in the blank audience. And I just got tired of lying. So that's just what it is.
So wait, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if he comes out and just like he denies it? Let's say he comes out and denies it.
He can't deny it. There's no way he can't deny it. What he can do is he'll probably I know exactly what situation he's probably gonna bring up. And it makes me sad that he's gonna do that. But I mean I get it. He feels like he has to defend himself. And that's okay. That's okay. But he's not gonna deny it. He's gonna just try to tell his part of it. And he'll deflect. That's exactly what it is. He'll deflect. And I mean, again, like I get it. He's in a defensive mode. But I don't like that he's gonna use this situation against me because it's just.
What situation? I don't know. What situation are you talking about, baby?
Oh my God.
What situation is he gonna use against you, baby?
When we first got married, I went out with some women I had just met, but I felt, and see, once again, I relinquished trust way too quickly, but I felt like I thought every woman lived by like girl code. Like if you come together, you leave together. If you go to the bathroom, you make sure that they're safe. But these women didn't live by that exact code. And we were all drinking, and I sometimes, and this is why I don't drink. This is why I don't like to drink often, because I know sometimes I have a hard time like understanding like, okay, now is when you stop. And I learned this in college. It was bad. I used to black out all the time, I thought it was normal because I used to do it so often. People were like, Iyanna, that's not normal. And I'm like, what? And that's when I just learned to stop drinking. But we were out, and I was really just keeping up with everybody else. Everybody else was like, oh, I'm going to go to drink. I'm like, oh, yeah, give me one too. And I blacked out. And within an hour, I was at a random bar with some random guy, and I came to. And I remember yelling at this man, no, I'm married. But I remember him just following me around a lot. And at around like 2:30 in the morning, Jarette gets off of work, and he's like, Iyanna, I'm coming to pick you up. And I made sure I actually looked at these text messages yesterday because I was downward spiraling. And he's like, Iyanna, I'm coming to get you. And I was like, okay. But I remember trying to send him my location, but I ended up sending him his contact information. And that's just like how drunk I was. But when he came to get me, this guy had the nerve to say like, oh no, bro, she's good. And I'm surprised Jarette didn't punch him in the face then. But Jarette was like, all right, we got to go. And at this point, I'm belligerently drunk. Belligerently drunk. And I remember saying, oh, wasn't it nice that guy was checking on me? And Jarette looked at me like, Iyanna, if you don't shut the fuck up. And then I was like, oh, I need to check on the girls. And then he got even more upset with me. He was like, why are you checking on these women who aren't checking on you? And then I blacked out again. But the next morning I woke up, and the shower curtain was broken because apparently I had fallen into the tub. Like, it was just a hot ass mess. And Jarette was like, Iyanna, you don't know what was happening with you and this guy. And I was like, no, nothing happened. Like, I know nothing happened. Because I remember pushing him off saying, no, I'm married. And I remember telling him like, I'm also concerned about my behavior too. I never want to repeat, and I never repeated it again. But I was like, I never want to repeat that again. But I realized in retrospect, me expressing how concerned I also was made him feel like
something's going on.
Well, not even that. He felt invalidated and like I shut him down. And but the weird part is I went and I looked back at our text messages, and he texted me saying like, I just need last night to never happen again. And I remember in the text message, I saw it, and I said, that will never happen again. I promise you, this is not a repeated behavior. That was a one-time incident. I will never drink that much again. I'm a tiny person. I have to just be honest about that. And then he sent me a kissy face. But then he didn't bring it up again until a year later when I asked for a divorce. And we were I asked my therapist for a couple more sessions. And I said, I just want to make sure like we have some closing out sessions, make sure we're coping well, making sure, everything's good. And that's when he decided to bring it up. And I was very confused. And I was like, why are you bringing this up a year later? He was like, well, you shut me down. I never want to talk about it again. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I apologize. Like, I never want that. Like, I don't want you to feel like I shut you down like that. That's not okay. So I know he's probably going to talk about that. But again, I still feel bad for that situation because I know that must have freaked him out. And it was the beginning of our marriage. I don't know. Look, I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it's that bad.
But
You know,
look, that's literally the
but
only thing that.
that's fair enough. I don't think that's anything bad. So there's no. I just want to make it clear so that because you know what's happening. The bloggers,
Oh,
the
I
bloggers are gonna
never
pick it up.
cheated. I never cheated.
Yeah,
I never cheated. I never would
never
have cheated.
emotionally, never micro cheated.
Never emotionally, never micro cheated. And I never emotionally cheated, never physically cheated, never entertained anyone else. He'll say that I was entertaining that guy that night, but I don't know. But I know that's probably what he's going to bring up, which makes me really sad. Sad. And then he'll probably say I didn't support him enough. I wasn't patient enough.
But that still doesn't give us.
I was hypercritical. Look.
Wait, sorry. Just make it very clear. So I want to make it. How long into the marriage did the cheating happen?
We were. Oh, you know the funny part? You want to know the funny part? Is I remember just 5 months into our marriage. I remember I was obsessively having this thought, like, I feel like I'm going to get a text message. I feel like I'm going to get an email, because I started to see that he had discipline issues and issues with self-control. And so I knew what that led to. And I was like, I just feel like I'm going to get something. And it was literally 3 days before, after The Altar was filming. And that was probably 9 to 10 months into our marriage when it was revealed to me that he cheated around the time that the show aired. Yeah. So yeah.
So by the time we get to watch the show, that's when you find out that he cheated.
No, yeah. Well, around the time, it was a little bit after the reunion when I found out that he cheated. But he cheated the beginning of when the show first aired.
God damn.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the woman, like, she said she saw my picture in our home. She knew my address. She knew my apartment number. She had a picture of her friend in Jarette's t-shirt in our living room. Yeah. And I got it via email, man. Literally.
Wait. What the hell? Wait. What? Wait.
Yeah.
Now, I know, Iyanna, you got to go soon, but listen, sorry, wait, before you do, because wait. What do you mean she knew all of this information, like she's out here scoping the territory? What do you mean she knew all this stuff? I'm so confused. How did she know?
He brought her to our home. He brought her and her friend to our home.
Threesomes?
I don't know. Look, I don't know what his intention was. They didn't have sex, but they were kissing and groping each other in our bed.
Damn.
And it wasn't until her friend was in the bathroom, saw some of my things, and was like, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And he drunkenly said, "I have a wife." And they said, "Oh, we gotta go. Yeah.
It's not looking good, bruv.
Yeah. I can't believe that. And he gaslit the hell out of me after that. But you know what? I don't want to speak poorly on the man. I don't want to speak poorly.
No, you're not. Baby, you're not. No. You're not speaking poorly, baby. You're not. You're telling the truth, and you're allowed to do that. Yeah. Listen, I know exactly how you're feeling when you want to cover somebody, right? Because I'm in the same person. But the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just her. It's not. No point holding it back. So you're telling me he gaslit the situation. What do you mean by he gaslit the situation?
Well, he didn't gaslight immediately after, because he couldn't deny it. He really couldn't deny it. Again, I was sitting in between his legs while he was helping take out my box braids when I got the email. And immediately my heart just dropped. And I go, fuck this, I'm out. He's like, what is it? And I'm like, so you cheated on me. And I show it to him, and he's like, no, send that email to me. She's lying. Send that email to me. And so I asked her for details, and she gave me my address. She gave me my apartment number. She told me what was in our home. I was like, oh my God. What did I do? And I immediately called producers. You need to film us separately. I'm divorcing this man. I can't do it. And my mom was like, again, like, Iyanna, you're making a very angry decision very quickly. I'm not saying don't leave him. What I am saying is making sure that you're even killed. The issue is that after the altar immediately started filming. And so I didn't have time to process. And so I had to quickly say, okay, Iyanna, you just have to protect your marriage until you can figure out what the hell is going on and what you're going to do. And so I went on after the altar, and I told him, I was like, I'm not going to lie and say that we're all good. Like, I can't do that. And so we agreed, we'll just talk about an issue that we've already talked about, because it was still an issue. And I was like, let's just address this and like keep it going.
No, it makes sense. Because when I reviewed after the altar, I was hard on you again. I said, you're being well critical. Like, you was judgmental, you were critical. There's a scene where you guys are sitting down talking with the gold stuff behind you lot, and you was going in on my boy. I said, why she going so
It's
hard?
because I was angry. It's because I was angry. And I wish I could have better, like, contained myself, but I just couldn't. I just kept ruminating about it. But yeah.
And he come clean eventually then? So he came clean eventually. He told you.
Well, he had no choice. He came clean immediately. He was like, okay. He's like, yes, it happened, but we didn't have sex. I said, Jarrette, it's the fact that you invited it to our home. You had the intention of cheating, and that alone is okay for me. Like, I don't even care if the kissing and groping wasn't true. Like, bro, like, what, do you not see what's wrong here? And it was months later when I was still trying to cope through it, and I was again reading our text messages, and I saw him like, it won't always be like this, like eventually I will be able to heal, I just need you to be patient with me. And he was telling me things like, you're holding a grudge, and I was like, I'm not trying to hold a grudge, bro. Like, I'm trying to heal, I promise you I am. I just, like, that level of betrayal is like crazy. It's crazy. Like, you had her in our house, bro. Like, in our house. In my bed. Every time I looked at that bed, I was just like, ah. Yeah, I should have just left soon after that. But I was trying to push through. Yeah, it was my marriage, man. It was my marriage. Yeah.
No, that's mad. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, it was deep. And
that was the only one?
I wasn't out of town.
There were some gray area.
No, that was the only explicit time. There were some gray area things after that, but nothing like that. Nothing like that. Yeah. Not
Damn.
did he at least wash the sheets? Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. I hope he did shit. You know, the funny part is I remember the day after, because I remember he was I remember because we had just gotten into an argument when the actual thing happened, but I was unaware. And I remember the day after I came back to because at that part I had already moved out. And then granted, I felt that's probably why he felt comfortable enough to do that, because I wasn't there at the moment. But literally the morning after, I came to visit him because I wanted to talk and just be like, okay, look, I can't keep running like this. Let's work on this. And he was so drunk. And in retrospect, I keep thinking, what would you have done if I had walked in and those two women were still there? Yeah.
You know, when you're in that place, sometimes you just don't really care, innit? Or sometimes you think you can get away with it. You know what I mean? You think you can get away with it, so it's not on your mind.
I will say I don't think he thinks like long term. A lot of the time, I think it's very quick gratification, like microwave results type shit. Yeah.
Damn. So, that's so sad. So wait, the woman reached out to you by email. She sent you an email, but you knew that she DM'd you as well. But later on, you found out she DM'd you as well.
Yeah, because I searched her on Instagram and I realized she had DM'd me. Yeah. And I actually later messaged her. Actually, just only a few months ago, I messaged her. I was like, thank you for telling me, because I wouldn't have known, and because I knew in my gut feeling that he was capable of that, but I didn't have proof, and that was what drove me crazy. I didn't have proof, and because I kept feeling like, well, Iyanna, the incompatibility, him going, and that's not enough reason for you to leave a marriage. Like, what are you doing? That's not enough. And yeah, and so as soon as I had that proof, I was like, this is it. Iyanna, you can leave now. You can leave. And I was like, but wait, it's a marriage though. I've never been married before. I don't know, like, you know, and I'm like, I heard people get over cheating. I heard they get over cheating. And so I was like, well, maybe I can too. But I was with someone who just wasn't willing to grow and change, unfortunately. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Trying to get over cheating is not easy though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's devastating. It really is devastating. I'm still sad that it didn't work out, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, why did I expect it to work out? Like, what? What?
No, but still, you can still have those feelings. You're allowed to have those feelings. Well, we
Yeah.
have, as human beings, we're complex beings. We're allowed to have multiple feelings at the same time. You know what I mean? You can even have what we call cognitive dissonance. It's normal as a human being. You know, you can be angry and yet happy at the same time. It's just one of those things. You
Two
know,
truths
like
can exist. Yeah.
two truths can
Yeah.
exist. So you're allowed to have those feelings. You're okay with those feelings. It's not a problem at all. That is, I didn't even know it was that mad. I didn't. I heard it, but I didn't hear it then properly on the clip because that is crazy, baby. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
I'm sorry
it's
you went
fine.
through that. You know?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, it's not
not
fine,
nice.
but it is now.
It is not.
fine
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions, but I have a question, but I don't have a question.
Okay.
As you're saying all of this is coming out of you now, like, how are you processing it? Like, I know it's gonna sound weird because we're deep people, so I think you understand what I'm saying. How are you processing it right now? Like, as you're talking about it now, how are you processing the situation right now? Like, how are you seeing the situation right now?
I don't know if this is and I can't tell because I'll know it. I'll give me a couple months and I'll know for sure. But like right now, it just feels like I'm just saying what happened. It feels similar to when I talk about things that happened in my childhood. It's like, oh, I'm just saying it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm just saying it. It doesn't there right now. I don't know if it's because I processed it all or what, but it just or if I'm just numb at the moment. But like it's just like this is what happened. It is what it is type of thing. Like there's no, I mean, I feel devastated, yes, but there's not like true emotion connected to it yet. On the podcast when I talked about it, no, that was emotion. That was emotion. I was like crying all over the place. Again, it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I can just like talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, this happened. And then other times it's like, like it's like I'm reliving it all over. But that's like trauma. That's trauma and that's healing. Like that shit is not linear for real. And I say it all the time, but those words come back to bite me in the ass. Healing is not linear. I just want it to be done with, you know. But,
I agree. No,
yeah,
I just wondering. No. I wasn't even thinking. I was just thinking that, you know, like I wonder how it was because obviously now you're saying it. It's like again, it's like sometimes I like to ask how people are feeling in that moment of when they're actually releasing it again because sometimes it can be a cathartic release, but sometimes
it does feel cathartic though. Yeah, it feels cathartic as hell. It feels nice to just like, oh my God, because if I didn't have my podcast, I would have been suffering in silence and I would have been just fine. But because I have my podcast, it puts this weight on me because I talk to my audience all the time about how I'm trying my best to be authentic, and that is not an easy task. And I'm trying my best to be vulnerable because that's what my podcast is about. So like, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't talk about the things that are, you know, that I'm going through. Granted, if I was still married, I'd still be protecting my marriage because it's my marriage, but I'm not anymore. I'm not married anymore, you know? I'm just not. And it happened. It's something I'm going through. It's something I'm processing. So yeah, again, if I didn't have that podcast though, I wouldn't have talked about it. I would have just let
I get it, man. I do get it. Because I remember someone called me out last year because the way I tell stories about my childhood. Because the way like that's why I was trying to ask you what you felt, and you just kind of encapsulated it right there where you said like sometimes it's just I'm just saying it, but the person was like, you're kind of minimalizing. But I'm like, I'm not. I feel like it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what we say, it is what it is. So if I'm explaining it, sometimes I'm telling a story like, yeah, this happened to me. The person's like, do you know how deep that was? I'm like, well, it's what it is. I mean, like I was there, it happened. Like I you know, and I felt like when you were saying it, that's what you were almost kind of saying. That says like it is what it is. And it's quite interesting that you had that perspective on the situation. That's why I was kind of asking that, you know. But then I kind of identified with you when you said you didn't want to make him the bad guy, almost in a sense by tarnishing him. But the reality is, it's your truth, and you are allowed to say your truth. And I think we do find it hard as healers to do that because we naturally want to be in a healing place. We want to protect people. It can be really difficult to kind of just come out and be like, well, this is the hard, cold facts, because we understand how that paints a picture of the other person. We don't want them to be put in a certain light, because also we wouldn't want to be put in a certain light. You know, we want to be cautious about how we do that. So I understand where he was coming from in that, you know?
Yeah. You get it.
Whew, listen, man, we'll talk later, man, because listen, I've taken a lot of your time today. And I really do appreciate and honor the fact you came on here. I know it's impromptu, but honestly, we appreciate you. And we would love to have you back here. Okay, so
Yeah.
I will slide my IG, because I'm sure you got too many messages for me to slide in yours, because if I do, I'll get lost. I'll put mine in the background. You slide in mine, not because I'm bougie, but because I know that I'll get lost in yours. I don't want to end up as a request, you know.
Oh, why am I
But
looking
honestly,
for my phone? And my phone's right here. Okay. Yes.
Oh, you're looking for your phone? Like I was looking for my glasses. Don't worry about
it. But yes, thank you for having me and for allowing me. I know you were a little shocked by it, but yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you for for prompting me. I mean, I like having conversations like this. I don't shy away for stuff like this. Like it is what it is. So again, yeah, thank you.
No worries, man. Next time we'll have a conversation about something else, something deep, but something else. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay, I like it.
We'll talk. I appreciate it, Anna. Much love.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Nice. Bye. Appreciate it, babe. Whew, guys, that was impromptu, was it not? You know, it's so funny. The Lord is good. Honestly, I was in the shower just the other day, literally yesterday. I think it wasn't even today. It might have been today. It was yesterday. I can't remember whichever it was. And crazy enough, I said to the Lord, we just need to go global, Lord, man. I'm tired. Like this level that I'm at, it's nice, but take us further, Lord. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to do it. You know what I mean? So listen, God's be opening doors that you don't even realize. I didn't have that on the cards, I'll be honest with you. And for those of you who are here, make sure you do me a massive favor. Make sure you like it, you share, you subscribe, because we're crazy around here. You know what I'm saying? We break things down. We bring about behavior. We talk about real things on this channel, have real conversations. If you're somebody that's included, likes in psychology, you like deep conversations, you like to get to know the person behind the action, then this is a channel for you. We do this all the time. We do it with Ready to Love. We do it with Married at First Sight. We do it with other different shows as well. So look, we like to keep it real. And so honestly, I appreciate you guys joining us, and ladies and gents joining us as well. But look, honestly, honestly, I was Queen E is the worst. Queen, get rid of Queen E. She said this is a sign. But no, generally, I was in the shower. And I genuinely was asking the Lord, like, Lord, just like open some new doors, man. I'm tired, bro. And do you know what's interesting? I've gone viral on Instagram, on TikTok, never YouTube. I said, Lord, you just be doing me dirty. Why you don't bring me to YouTube? I do an amazing job, but you never know. And what you don't ask for, you don't get. Okay, that's a lie. That's incorrect theology. I apologize. That's not the Christian way. What you don't ask for doesn't always mean you don't get. God does do things because he's graceful God. He can do things before you even said you wanted to have it. So let me not take that back. That's poor theology. But, honestly, this conversation was out of the blue. Me and my audience were just having a good conversation. And hopefully, yes, Roxy, hopefully Shade Room take parts of this conversation, the deeper parts of this conversation, and blow it up rather than just always being about the salaciousness. But honestly, it was a really great conversation to have with her one-to-one and to get a bit more insight into where she was coming from, as well. And I would have asked more childhood questions, but I felt like I didn't have that onus because we never set up the conversation that way. So I didn't want to, just throw it in that way. But other people really kind of know what my thing is. But I think it was a great conversation. And we got some deep parts of it as well. And we managed to have some insights as well. And actually, right, listen, if you don't pray to the Lord your God, listen, this is a sign for anybody out here. Let me end it on a nice. For anybody out there, listen, the Lord God Jesus Christ is amazing. Okay, look, not just because he answers prayers in this particular way, but because, listen, the support and the love that you need, that guy up there, that Jesus, he can do mad things. Right. So I take this moment and say thank you. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. You understand? So listen, never downplay what God can do. You understand what I'm telling you? But really, again, it was a great conversation. And I honestly think as well, like, because I think someone asked a really good question about the about the therapy, right? This is a really real thing, because I know that, and I was going to do a video on it. It's the conversation around Danielle and, well, I've forgotten his name, her ex-man now, sorry, Danielle and her man Danielle and Nick, and they were talking about the therapy aspect. And I honestly, you know, the therapy is a big thing. It's needed. You know, like, the therapy is needed, because this show will take you through a hoop. You know, this show will take you through a madness, bro. So, like, the fact that people need that therapy, and the show can be manipulating, because of course it is a reality TV show. I've told you guys about this, how they try to program people. You know, it's going to be very difficult to come out of that place and not want to have some therapy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So listen, you already know, you know, we like to keep it real around here. You're right, Christian. A little bit of messiness, but just enough of the perfect balance when it comes to mental health and God. You're absolutely right. Love that combination. You know, that's what makes a sweet delight of a dessert. You know, the sweetness of eats. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's real out here. But yeah, definitely there needs to be trauma dumping. Yeah, Jay Vickers, look, real spit. And this is my last thing, and I'll say, and I probably should get off now. Because I still need to talk about Morgan and Jeffrey, and who knows, maybe they'll pull up as well. But Morgan and Jeffrey situation, I think what's interesting about the trauma dumping is, I don't want anyone to be in a relationship built on a foundation of trauma dumping, right? So anybody out there, if you know the majority of your conversations are about your trauma and what you've been through and the pain and the exhaust and struggle you've gone through, and that's the majority of your conversations, you don't have a strong foundation, right? You don't have a strong foundation in that relationship. And I think that's really key. I think that's really, really key. I think that's really, really important. If you know you have too much trauma in your conversations where you're discussing the struggles and the pains that you've gone through, and not enough about what makes you compatible. What are your hobbies? What are your likes and dislikes? What is your vision? What is your goals? Right? You know, do you want kids? How do you see your life financially? If you're not having enough of those kind of conversations, then yes, red flag, as Jay Vickers said, it's a red flag, because the foundation is very shaky. Because once you heal, you're going to move yourself out of that relationship. You're literally going to outgrow that relationship, right? You're literally going to outgrow it. You know, so it's a shame, but you'll realize that you'll outpace the person you're with, and you'll say that person no longer has a capacity for you anymore, because what you guys had a foundation based upon was originally something that could be healed. You know, someone said, am I changing the title of this video? I'll just add in there that Iyanna came in. Am I changing it? No, it was the same video. It's the same title. All right, the same title. Because although I don't care, I care. Of course I do. You know what I mean? Right? So, you know, for once in my life, the thing worked. Shoot, I didn't think it was gonna work like that, but shoot, you know. But yeah, no. So, yeah, no. I think to myself, just like anybody out there, just make sure. Look, don't, you know, don't, you know, don't succumb to that aspect of the relationship. You know. You know, don't succumb to that aspect of the relationship. Some of you are changing your tune. When you first started, you know, some of you were on my side. Some of you, when you first started, you were saying, "Coach, we hear you. We don't care either." And then when Iyanna came, you've changed your tune. Yeah, you don't stay on your 10 toes. Stay on your 10 toes. Stay in your 10 toes, guys. Nah, we do care. Listen, look, we don't care, but we do care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've been talking. If you're new here, you might not understand it. For those of us who have been here, we know what we're talking about. We've had this conversation a gazillion times, right? You know, we've had this conversation a gazillion times. If you're new, you might not understand it. We've had this conversation a gazillion times. Like, there's like 10 videos now documenting Iyanna and Jarrette's situation, and from the very beginning to the very end. So a lot of us kind of knew this situation. It's like we kind of knew this was coming. Like, you know what I mean? It might not this way, but you know, it gets that part, you know? So Look, and so yes, as Felicia's put it quite correctly, it's not I don't care about Iyanna. We don't care about the situation, but we care about Iyanna. There's a big difference, you know. So thank you for putting that way. But yeah, if you're in a relationship right now, all I'm asking you to do is make sure you check what kind of foundation do I have, right? What foundation do I have? If you've got a strong foundation, it should be built upon interpersonal and compatibility issues. If not, we're gonna have an issue. You know, you're gonna have an issue. So you know, it is. You know, it's interesting. You know what I mean? So yeah, no. It's such a political situation. You know, with someone said so they brought God on to change that title. No, he didn't. Don't be putting God in there like that. No. And this is going to start a really good conversation. Just because a person came in to say what they said doesn't mean I'm going to change my tone, what I was saying before. What I was saying before she came on is still the same thing we're talking about now. So for me to change it will be dishonoring to what I actually said at the very beginning. That means I didn't say it with my whole chest when I said it at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? What makes it right or wrong is what you feel makes it right or wrong. Whether you think it's right or wrong is up to you. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong for me. You know what I mean? So we can debate about it all the time, but why would you want to change it? If you care about it, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? If you care, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We care about Iyanna. This situation we don't care about as much. Let's be honest. Before we started, nobody was even complaining until you saw Iyanna came in. Okay? Yeah. So that's all. I hear you, Susanna, but no one cares what you're saying. I personally don't care. Because when we came in, before Iyanna got in here, you weren't pressed. It's okay. You will live. You will live. Let's not lie on that. Okay. All right. So let's not. But final words, and I'm gonna go because I got to do the Morgan one too as well for you guys. I got to do the Morgan and Jeffrey interview. Listen, we're gonna do the Morgan and Jeffrey interview because it's crazy out here. Like literally, it's crazy out here. Like I was watching the Morgan and Jeffrey situation, Ready to Love, and I'm like, yo, I was officially shook. Like, you know what, ladies, I agree with you lot, right? That I was listening to the Morgan and Jeffrey interview in my ears. If you don't watch Ready to Love, by the way, this is what we're talking about. And I was in the shop and I said, I'm actually shook of Morgan. No longer can I see the beauty. Now I'm shook because the way that her and Jeffrey just kind of blitz past their madness, I was like, yo, I'm a little bit shook. Y'all can kill me and feel no way, you know. So we gonna talk about it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about it. So anyway, listen, any more questions you guys got before I go? And then I'm gonna bounce off because I got things. We gotta get to the next live. This has been killer, and I can't wait to see Iyanna and talk to Iyanna again. It'll be absolutely amazing. Honestly, appreciate our guest as well, 100%. Our guest was amazing. Toxic Twins, yes, Toxic Twins. We're gonna talk about them. But yeah, our guest was so amazing today as well. And we really did break some chains in there, so make sure if you haven't done so, you watch the replay when you do get a chance to, and we'll have a real conversation. Okay. Now all we need now is Jarette to come in here. I'll have a title for Jarette too, don't worry. Maybe the Lord will provide that title for me too. I didn't do the first one, but maybe he'll provide a title for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see. All right, listen, guys. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'm gonna love you and leave you guys, and we're gonna bounce out. Okay. Ooh. The Lord, listen, guys, the Lord is working double time today. I just got an email. The Lord is working double time today. Hey, prayers in the shower, guys. Prayers in the shower. Let me tell you something. Prayers in the shower, they be doing something. Oh, listen, I'm going to get off. We're going to have to go to our next interview. I'm going to get to our next interview. Silver Shadow said I'm getting messy. No, we're not. Don't try it. Silver Shadow. No. Don't try that. Don't put that on me. No. We learned our lesson that last time. Don't do that. Don't do that. I can't tell you just yet. You know, I got to. Okay. It won't let us. Okay. All right, listen, guys. I'm gonna go. The Lord is working double time, and I'm gonna go. So I appreciate you lot. Honestly, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. The Lord is good. I will lift his name higher everywhere I go. I will lift his name higher.
Not on my watch.
Y'all know how we leave this place. Now, listen, if you're new here, like it, share, subscribe, and don't forget to click on that bell button. But you're going to leave here with something.
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.